The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our free bracket challenge, $2,000 winner take all. Enter today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. And welcome everybody to this episode of the MLB Gambling Podcast. I'm your host for this episode, Scott Reichel, joined by Dylan, and together we are going to break down the first MLB regular season game. You might not have noticed it, but technically opening day is not actually about a week from now. It's actually tomorrow because there's a game going on in Japan between the Dodgers and the Cubs, but the point is we're here to break it down. Should be a fun one. We'll get into the actual injury updates. We'll get into, once again, maybe some props as well, in addition to breaking down the actual game. But Dylan, how's it going with you? Long time since we've had actual games to talk about that have mattered. How does it feel?
Yeah, it's been good, man. It's been a long time coming. I've been trying to keep busy filling out my bracket. I got my bracket. I always do the hard piece of paper. I never do it online. I always feel like it's more authentic that way. But I'm doing good. Finally able to talk baseball and set your alarm. 6:10 in the morning. We got start time.
Yeah, I know that normally, I remember that was a thing back in school. They would always tell you to write stuff down instead of typing it because you like remember it better, if that makes sense. That was kind of the way it goes. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of the same thing here in this case. Point is, though, it should be fun. You got the Dodgers taking on the Cubs once again at 6:10 a.m. Eastern time. So you can set your alarms. We'll be on Fox, so it should not be hard to find if you're looking for it on TV. Point is, though, I guess before we actually start off with the game breakdown, do you want to quickly point out a pretty big piece of gambling news for me that I have to mention, and it's a little bit of a somber note, bit of mourning for my favorite prop of all time. Joey Gallo under half a hit. Unfortunately, the guy who's been hitting like a pitcher for the last couple of years finally became a pitcher, and he'll no longer be offered on sports books for the actual hits market. So if you liked backing or fading Joey Gallo props, unfortunately, maybe strikeouts someday, as he's going to be pitcher in the minors now. Point is, though, Joey Gallo, your props will be missed because I faded you for a long, long time, and now he's officially trying to basically resurrect his entire career in the minors. But wanted to mention that. You had no idea where I was going with that.
No idea. I thought you were going to do a tennis maybe prop or something, but yeah, when he asked to be released, I thought it was the funniest thing. I thought they were fucking with me online and had to look at another reputable source. So saw that he actually wanted to pitch, and I was like, well, there goes all our props. It's no fun anymore. But do you think he'll actually be good? I mean, why make the transition, I guess?
Well, I have seen a couple of position players who have made the transition already. Of course, Phillips is the main example of that. He ended up making a transition. Some other guy did, and I'm trying to remember what his name was. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I want to say that he played for the Guardians at some point. I'm drawing a blank, but there was another guy who also made the transition. So it's actually been pretty common recently. I guess the argument is if you have a good arm and you can't actually hit, then you might as well try to pitch because why not? But either way, I think I forgot that guy's name, though. It's kind of bothering me. I'm imagining like the red in his uniform, but I can't remember his name. Anyway.
It'll come to you.
Yeah, it'll come to me at some point. Point is, though, Joey Gallo officially a pitcher now. Not in this game. I've wanted to mention it because he's going to be in the minors temporarily. I do want to ask you, by the way, before we actually do get started on this, I don't know if you really care much about spring training. Do you care anything about spring training?
No, I look at the pictures. I look at them a little bit. I do have some notes on Yamamoto and Imanaga, but not so much. I actually was able for the first time in my life, I was able to go to a spring training game last week when I was down in Florida. Went to a Phillies game. They were playing the Blue Jays, man. It's going to be rough for the Blue Jays this season, man. They stink. But other than that...
Well, to be fair, the spring training team might stink. We'll see how the regular
No, they were actually most of the starters. I mean, Bryce Harper was up, and for the Phillies at least, most of their starters were up, and Ranger Suarez might have a little revenge season, so might be backing him a little bit. He looked good, but other than that, it was cool to go to a spring training game. Don't really pay too much attention to it just because I got a lot of other sports going on, but yeah, I don't really pay too much. I think for the most part, pitchers is the most important thing, how they look, how long they're going, velocity, if it's up there. What about you, though? Do you pay attention, or do you take anything away from it?
I've been too busy paying attention to the Yankees' injuries, so I haven't really paid attention to the games. Dylan, I'm going to point out, since you are a Mets fan, that was the wrong answer. I was giving you a chance to gloat about Clay Holmes not giving up an earned run, but you just completely just squandered it. So,
I mean, he's out there shoving.
I was trying to set you up there, and you go,
yeah.
it doesn't matter. Who cares? I think you were going to gloat about your opening day starter.
No. I was actually trying to go away from spring training just because of the whole Garrett Cole. We don't know about Stanton status, so... I mean, the Mets are dealing with a lot of injuries as well. So we'll see how Minaya and everyone is doing.
Just saying, you had Clay Holmes, you had Soto, you had a lot you could praise for the Mets, and you chose to take the humble approach, which I would not have done the same thing.
Trying to be more humble. That we are in Lent. If anyone's Catholic, we are in Lent season. Trying to be a little more humble this season. So that's what I'm trying to do.
Okay, well, I appreciate the humbleness there. I would have been bragging, but it is what it is. That's why we're wired a bit differently.
Yes.
Before we get into the actual breakdown of the Tuesday morning game, once again the game that actually counts between the Dodgers and the Cubs in Tokyo. Want to remind once again that you can't compete against SGPN this March in our $75K winner take all college basketball survivor contest. March has never been this exciting. Enter at splashsports.com/SGPN. Once again, that's splashsports.com/SGPN. Anyway, time to start off with the actual game breakdown. Said before, it's the Cubs against the Dodgers. Should be a fun game in Tokyo because you have two Japanese pitchers on the mound, actually. You have Yamamoto against Imanaga, so it should be pretty fun. For this game, Dodgers are favored. What else is new? A -160 as the defending World Series champions. Cubs are +135 after a pretty eventful offseason getting Kyle Tucker, for example. The over-under set at 7.5. For the actual run line, it is +110 for the Dodgers to cover the run-and-a-half favorite line, and +1.5 on the Cubs is -130. So I know that Imanaga, you're about to mention for spring training, overall looked pretty good. And he actually went a decent amount of distance in his outings. But I do want to ask you for this one, first of all, do you have any interest in laying 160 with the Dodgers without Mookie Betts in the lineup?
Not at all. And I was going to say, I usually tread lightly in the series. Even last year I did as well. But my numbers did make them a -165 favorite. I have no business laying it with the Dodgers here. -1.5. I saw +112. If you want to take a shot there, by all means. I do think the Cubs might be a little competitive here in Game 1 with Imanaga on the mound. So I would tread lightly. More or less, I actually like the total. If you're able to get 7.5, so I got it 8 at plus money. I made my total 8.5. I do think we'll see some runs here, especially since I am going to fade Yamamoto. Did not look good in spring training. Gave up 6 runs on 15 hits and 13 innings of work. So he hasn't looked good. Imanaga, he's looked much better as well. So probably going to fade him here. And I do have a prop that I like, but I'll kick it to you. What do you like here?
Yeah, if I was going to go with the Cubs, it'd probably be first 5.
Yeah.
Maybe I have PTSD from the Cubs bullpen last year, which was the main reason why the team kind of fell apart. It was because they couldn't close games. I do agree with you. I think that Imanaga has been better, objectively speaking, in spring training. And I do think that, of course, he had a very solid season last year. I prefer Cubs first 5 in this one. I do not want to take the Dodgers without Mookie, who is dealing with an illness. He's not even traveling to Japan, so it's not even a questionable tag. He's just not even there. So, once again, the Dodgers have more than enough firepower to win the game anyway. But I do think when you're looking at a pitcher who's been struggling in spring training and you're kind of waiting to see how he looks in meaningful action, I'm skeptical of how Yamamoto is going to look compared to Imanaga. I don't mind the Yamamoto under and outs potentially if they pull him early. We'll see what happens. I know that was a common theme last year, especially in the Dodgers and Padres series last year, where the starters just kept getting pulled early because they kept getting destroyed or they just didn't really have their arms stretched out yet, and they got pulled very early. I can see that happening with Yamamoto, who, of course, did get injured midway through last year, so I do wonder how safe the Dodgers will be with him. Imanaga, though, I think we'd agree was objectively a solid pitcher last year. He was a Cy Young favorite at some point, and then he kind of regressed a bit, but he still had a solid season as a whole. Been good in spring training. Said before, both pitchers are from Japan, so there is no home crowd advantage or anything like that. So it should just be a fun atmosphere. I think the Valley's on the Cubs for me, but for the sake of the actual line itself, I'd rather take first 5. The Dodgers have so many arms in that bullpen that I just think outmatch what the Cubs have out there. And I do think that if you're looking at the Cubs as a whole, the lineup should be fine. I do agree that, of course, the Dodgers, even without Mookie, are probably still better. But when you're looking at what the Cubs did this offseason, they ended up getting Presley as the new closer. They ended up getting a couple of other guys to help out the bullpen. I don't know how effective they're going to be, but the point is at least they addressed that issue, and that kind of matters to me. Besides that, I'm actually curious to see how PCA does. Pete Crow Armstrong, who seemed to be mashing in spring training. So we'll see how he does. Point is, though, the main addition, of course, was the Kyle Tucker acquisition, who is a really, really good player when healthy. We'll see if he stays healthy. I do want to ask you, though, for the sake of this match, you mentioned that you had a player prop before. What do you have in mind?
Yeah, one player prop that I really like is probably my favorite play. Yamamoto over 3.5 hits at -135. Like I mentioned, in spring training, he struggled to throw first pitch strikes, coming in at 43.6%. He's given up a lot of ground balls, a lot of line drives, a ton of pull side contact as well, around 48%, 38 batted balls as well. His hard hit rate in spring training is 42%. People are just seeing him really well. He's still working through things. Obviously, it's very early on. They're still trying to figure out their command. So I could see the Cubs getting some hits early on in this one. In general, I personally don't think he has the best fastball. So we'll see how many sliders and splitters he winds up throwing. But over 3.5 hits just seems like a very good play. And at -135, I think that's a really good play. So that's going to be my favorite player prop. I was wondering, you mentioned Kyle Tucker to the Cubs. What do you think, my friend, about Michael Conforto going to the Dodgers? You think he'll be all right?
I think it's an underrated move. The former Long Island Duck legend. Can't forget about him over there. But exactly. I remember I got into debates with people growing up. I remember that there were some really diehard Mets fans who were trying to make the argument that Conforto was in the same league as Judge, and I had to laugh at their faces.
My God.
That was the thing back in the day. A fun fact, that was before Judge won MVP or anything like that. And I just laughed them out of the room. But point is that Conforto, I think, is a good addition. We know he's a good lefty hitter. The point is the Dodgers, though, when you look back on the offseason and I asked you a random player, assuming you didn't know anything about baseball, if I asked a random person, who signed this player, you'd probably guess the Dodgers, and you'd probably be right because they signed everybody this offseason. So I feel like Conforto is a solid piece. They ended up getting Teoscar back anyway, and there are questions if he would come back too. So they have a surplus of riches. They can rotate depending on lefty-righty splits, whatever they want. Conforto, I think, objectively speaking, a solid hitter. And I think that for all the protection he's going to have in that lineup, he's going to be a solid guy. I mean, if you think of what his potential expectations are, what is it, 270 with 18 home runs?
Yeah, that's not bad.
No, it's a bottom of the order. That's a surplus at the bottom of the order. The expectations aren't that high because they have so many crazy elite players at the top of the lineup that I feel like Conforto should have a pretty solid season as well, especially with how the Dodgers seem to always strike gold with everybody they sign. But I do want to point out for the actual depth chart, I'm assuming that Conforto in this game is not going to play because they're against the lefty.
Well, it looked like he was going to play. Yeah, probably not. Maybe he'll come in, but he's been batting 7th. Yeah, like you said, towards the end of the lineup.
I was just wondering because I know that as a lefty, the Dodgers sometimes platoon guys out there, lefty-righty splits. So with Imanaga, I'm assuming he's not going to start, but he might come in off the bench as a pinch hitter if they go to a righty reliever. So just kind of a thought there. But I like the signing. I think Conforto is a solid hitter. I think that he can definitely produce. And the main thing, if you're batting at the bottom of the order, can you get on base for Ohtani? That's basically what you're looking for, and I feel like he can definitely do that. Now, I do want to point out for some props I was intrigued by. I know that he was great in the World Series, but I am going to kind of throw it out there. I didn't mind Tommy Edman over his 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. If you look at his numbers against lefties, it's actually been incredible. He's gone over this number in 7 of his last 8 games against lefties. And even if you want to go for the games overall, yes, they are big. Yes, they are playoffs, of course. But the point is he has been really, really good, even not against lefties. It's also 8 of the last 10. So point is, I think that if you're going for a guy, bottom of the order, who has some speed, who we saw emerge as a serious playoff threat, I don't mind Edman in the spot. Of course, that he's a switch hitter. He can bat lefty and righty. So he's really never in danger of being pulled in a game. I think it's a good spot, especially with the Dodgers being listed as the road team for this game. So you get a guaranteed 9 at-bats, which I think is pretty important. So I don't mind Edman for his actual prop here for hits, runs, and RBIs. Might carry over from the actual postseason, based on the actual stats, which is a bit dangerous, but I think he had a great year. And I believe in spring, I think he batted 273. So in spring, he was fine. I think that he's a pretty decent option in this one.
And I think, honestly, he'll bat in that 2-hole because of Mookie being out. I think he'll go right after Shohei, and then behind him, who do you put? Freddie Freeman, then Teoscar. And I think he's surrounded. Yeah, I mean, that lineup's insane.
If you want to throw him at the bottom, you can. You can put him in the 9 spot for some speed, get Ohtani behind him. There are a bunch of spots. That's kind of the thing about the Dodgers, though, and it's why they won the World Series. And you could argue they got even better this offseason because the entire pitching staff was injured. But they are just so deep at basically every spot in the lineup that if you are even in the lineup, you have a chance to have a monster day. Because you can have guys on base before you, guys on base after you. A lot of stuff can go in your favor. And I feel like Edman is constantly just an undervalued piece of that lineup, especially based on the World Series run they had last year. I do want to ask about the Cubs, though. I know that we have a couple division previews coming up, but just in general, for the season, the Cubs made some moves. Their win total's like 86.5. Of course, the Dodgers are priced to be better than the Cubs because the Dodgers are priced to be the best team in the entire league. What is your, I'd say, outlook on the Cubs season? Do you like their stance? Should they not be favored to win the division? What are your thoughts on the Cubs?
I mean, 86.5 wins is what I'm seeing right now.
It's a very weak division.
Yes. I like Kyle Tucker. I like Ian Happ. Michael Busch should be okay. Dansby Swanson is all right. I like Nico. He might be hurt a little bit, but I like their rotation as well. Imanaga at the top. Justin Steele's a big fan as well. We'll see what Jameson Taillon does, Matthew Boyd, and Javier Assad. I mean, I guess one player to look for in the upcoming season, obviously, I think what Craig Counsell did, I like him as well. Maybe look at him for manager of the year at plus 400. But the rookie Matt Shaw, I think at the third base position, I think he's an intriguing player to watch. He's only 23 years old. I think he's the 22 overall prospect. He got drafted back in 2023. I think he hit for a high average in the minors. I think he hit for over 300. So he uses all the sides of the ballpark as well. Plus 400 to win NL Rookie of the Year. I think behind Dylan Cruz of the Nationals, just because they're everyday players, I rather would take him to win NL Rookie of the Year as opposed to like a Dodger pitcher in Sasaki, because they only play pitch every 5 days. So I think a rookie like Matt Shaw, I think he's a guy to watch for as well.
Yeah, definitely get behind that. I actually did pull up Shaw's minor league numbers. He's career 303 in the minors. Yeah. Last year he batted 284, but he also had 21 home runs. So he's a very serious threat. He had 21 homers and 31 steals last year. So he can kind of do it all. So I definitely agree his upside is tremendous.
That's a guy that you mentioned. You were talking about bottom of the lineup. That's a guy you could put at like 8 or 9, or maybe even a 7 hole.
I mean, we'll see, because once again, he can hit for power and for potential speed. So you can put him wherever you want. That's kind of a luxury the Cubs have. But I do want to ask you for this game in particular. I know that you mentioned that you do like the actual Cubs for the value. Do you want to go for a final score prediction?
Trevor did mention something, and I usually don't like to do this in baseball, but the plus 1.5 with the Cubs seems like a good play. I would honestly just take them for pure value at plus 142, but at minus 120 with the Cubs, I think that's a good play. 5-4, I think a game is. I think we're going to see a higher scoring game, especially early on. So I think the Cubs will be close. I think they're going to be competitive, and you never really know with the bullpen. They might blow it, but I think a 5-4, maybe 6-4 type of game. I think it goes over, and I think the Cubs could cover as well.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go with the Cubs as well for the value. I feel like I have to. I think that the scoreline you have is also pretty spot on to what I had. I think it'll be a close game that comes down to the wire. Maybe one play decides it. My call is the Cubs barely hold on to a win, but the Dodgers have like the go-ahead run on base. Yeah. Like, it's going to be like a very, very close game, but I think the Cubs get out of it, and maybe that's why they ended up getting Presley. He'll get out of the jam and look at the job done there to get the win. Anything else you want to add for this game? Because I know that it's a short episode, but there's only one game to talk about.
Yeah, no, that's my favorite play is the Yamamoto over 3.5 hits, lean over, and I do think the Cubs are going to be competitive. But can't wait. Baseball is back. Who's on the pod for game 2 of the series?
So game 2 of the series, by the way, you still have to do our official best bets for the show after this, but just to get into the actual schedule, sorry, just pulling it up right now. So tomorrow it's going to be you and Mal.
Okay.
At least that's what I have listed, but I know Mal. No, Mal said he can do it tomorrow. That's fine. He can't do the NL West video tomorrow. Yeah, by the way, for the updated podcast schedule, we have a lot of episodes coming up this week, so I might as well read some of them off now, if you were wondering. So, of course, this is game 1 for Tokyo. We have 2 episodes coming up on a couple days this week. Tuesday, we have the actual Tokyo Game 2 preview with Mal and Lonte. Sorry, it's Mal and Lonte for that one. For the NL West, it's going to be you and Mal. I believe that's going to be on Wednesday. For Thursday, it's the AL Central with you and Lonte. Friday, it's going to be Rookie of the Year with Dylan, with you and Mal. Saturday, it's going to be me and Lonte for Manager of the Year. And Sunday will be Cy Young. That it's going to be you and Mal as well. Apologies that I'm not going to be on many episodes this week, but I am going to be in Vegas. So I was kind of accounting for the actual travel there. But yeah, once again, if you can't remember that, that's fine. I forgot everything I just said anyway. But we have a lot of episodes coming up this week, so just stay tuned for that. Point is, though, before we officially get into the best bet from each of us for the actual game, want to remind once again, a lot of ad reads, by the way, so apologies, but we only have time for one ad read here. We're brought to you by DraftKings. When it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is sure, nothing is sure. You have upsets, you have buzzer beaters, you have Cinderellas advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all going to happen. None of you can expect it, but you can bet the unexpected every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. And a reminder that you can capture a very good promo at the moment, because for first-time customers, something special. New DraftKings customers bet $5, get $200 most consistently. And a reminder that when you also are using the live betting software, exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. Bet the unexpected with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code SGP. Code SGP for new customers to get $200 bonus consistently. When you bet just $5 only on DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm's hosting an epic March Madness party, and you're all invited. I'll be there in Vegas. All Rhythm users are invited to the First for Watch party Wednesday, March 19th at the Awesome Stadium Swim at Circle Las Vegas. Gets better. Rhythm's also giving away $200 future bet for one lucky Rhythm user. Even if you cannot go to the party, that's fine. You can still enter the drawing for the future bet. And a reminder, there's a free party plus chance to $200 future bet when you sign up at with Rhythm. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for details. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy because they have a great Underdog Pick'em. If you want to try some baseball options, you can use baseball now again, so get excited. You can also use college basketball. You can use NBA, tennis, whatever sport you can think of, even esports. But Underdog Pick'em has the ability to play any sport and win up to 100 times your money. Sign up, though, with the promo code MLB SGPN to claim a special pick name first time by the offer up to 1K bonus cash. My fantasy promo code MLB SGPN. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost has partnered with SGPN, and a reminder that they are the premier Visa debit card for bettors. Edge Boost card will prevent you from being hassled by having your card denied at the sportsbook, DFS site, sweepstakes, racetrack, casino, so you'll not get denied with the card. You can also earn cashback rewards, $70 per month with cashback rewards by using the Edge Boost card. Money safe as the card's FCC insured, and best part, there are no credit checks. Completely free. Sign up for the for Edge Boost and enter our free $2,000 bracket contest at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. Welcome back, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast. Just finished previewing the Tuesday game, the regular season game between the Cubs and the Dodgers. Now it's time for the actual best bets for the opening game of the regular season. Dylan, I'm going to let you go first. What is your best bet for this game?
Yeah, it's going to be the player prop. It's going to be Yamamoto over 3.5 hits at -135. Like I said, he just hasn't been good in spring training. 6 runs on 15 hits. Hard hit rate is around 42% as well. I'm gonna see how they manage him because pitchers they're not usually fully stretched out this early on in the process. So we'll see how the props odds adjust. But I do think this Cubs lineup that I kind of just read off a little earlier with Ian Happ, Kyle Tucker, even the rookie Matt Shaw, I think they'll be able to get to him early on. So over 3.5 hits for Yamamoto.
Yeah, so we're going to stick in kind of the same ballpark here. My best bet's going to be a first 5 team total, actually. I'm going with the Cubs. First 5 team total over 1.5 at -105. What a bargain.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned. I mean, Yamamoto's been, as you said before, underwhelming in spring training. We'll see how he does. I know that he ended up pitching early last year, and that didn't really work out. That was in Korea, I believe. Point is, though, I think that you're looking at the Cubs offense being solid. Worst case scenario is that the bullpen's going to be bad. But in the offense, we'd agree is, objectively speaking, a solid lineup. If you trust Crow Armstrong to have a solid season, they got a lot of speed. They got a lot of potential depth in that lineup. And I do think Yamamoto, based on all of the spring training results, I just think is a bit overvalued in the spot. And for that reason, I am going to back the Dodgers bullpen indirectly. I'll fade the starter. I'll go with the Cubs' first 5 team total over 1.5 at -105. Great price. I think that's definitely worth taking. So I'll take that as my first best bet of the 2025 season. Anyway, sorry, we were going to say?
No, I just said I love it. Love it.
Yep. Definitely should be a fun game, though. Will I be awake to watch it? Maybe. We'll see. Maybe. Depends. Point is, though, that's going to wrap it up for the first regular season episode of the MLB Gambling Podcast for the season. Don't anything else you want to say before we officially end it?
What are the odds you give your Badgers to win it?
To win what? A game?
I mean, down the stretch, they couldn't buy a bucket last night.
No, because I think Greg Gard's abysmal, but that's a separate story.
Really?
I think that he is a very good floor raiser, but the ceiling makes you very claustrophobic. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm scared for the Badgers.
I don't think they make it to the Sweet 16. So
I'm rooting for him, kid. For you, I'm rooting for him.
I mean, look, I'd root for him too, but getting BYU potentially in the second round is pretty rough.
Yeah,
that's not the draw you want. Is a very deep BYU team that can rebound and score. That's not exactly the matchup that you wanted there for the 3. But either way, it should be fun though. I know BYU plays VCU. That should be fun in the actual first round. I'll ask you now. I know you can still change it because we still got time.
Mm-hmm.
Are you a big bracket guy for March Madness?
Like physical copy or just in general filling it out?
Just all the above. Are you into filling out brackets? Are you into contests? How do you handle March?
Contests, not so much until I heard what Elon Musk is doing with Tesla. Did you hear about that real quick?
I am not aware of basically anything that Elon Musk does. Besides when his tweets pop up on my time feed, even though
I don't know how they do that. I don't know how they do that either.
Probably because he owns the platform. Usually that has something to do with it.
Yeah, maybe.
That's the only update. The only update I get from Elon Musk are from Elon Musk, and it's against my will. So I don't really follow.
If you do he has like a challenge with Tesla. If you make a perfect bracket, you get a trip to Mars.
Nice. Okay. Yeah. So he took the Warren Buffett approach from like 15 years ago, and he just threw in a Mars trip. Okay.
I'm going to do it just so I could possibly get a cash prize because I don't want to go. I don't want to die.
You're trying to scalp your tickets to Mars?
Yeah, exactly. And
that's a D-Gen move. That's a tremendous idea.
So I'm going to do that. But yes, fill out a bracket. I need a physical copy. And yes, I'm very much into it. Don't do much contest, but should be exciting. I've never been out to Vegas for the game, so that should be a treat for you.
Yeah, definitely should be a fun time. You should go sometime. It'll be fun.
I heard it's expensive for the guys, not so much the women.
Well, it depends on what exactly you're referring to, because I know that, let's just say SGPN knows some people and my room was discounted, so that helps.
Hey, good for you.
Either way, point is that it should be fun. I'll definitely be there, especially for the. Did I mention the party is free drinks? Sponsored by Rhythm? Did I mention
Rhythm? Shout out Rhythm.
See, the truth is, if you drink enough at the bar, suddenly the trip's free. That's how you loophole the whole thing, you know.
I heard Madison kind of trained you to drink well.
That's one way to put it. I don't know. I don't think that they would. I'd say claim responsibility for it, and I may have had a head start in high school, but I was head of the drinking committee in my fraternity, so I definitely know how to handle my drinks.
Let's go.
I'm one of the most dangerous men with a ping pong ball in his hand.
Favorite drink, real quick.
You talk about like just mixed drink or just anything?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go straight with the margarita.
Oh, nice. I'm a big rum and coke guy.
Okay. I mean, okay, if I'm at like a whatever, I'll keep it simple and I could just have a beer. Like I'm not gonna be very picky about what I want. If I don't trust the bartender, I'll get a screwdriver because it's just really tough to like mess up.
How do you screw those up, though?
That's exactly my point. So if I want to drink, orange juice and vodka, that's good enough for me. But if I trust where I'm at, I'll get a margarita.
All right. I like that. That's different. All right.
Yeah, the rum and coke, I don't mind. Sometimes it's a little bit sweet. My least favorite drink, though, I can't stand gin and tonics.
Ooh.
I'm just not a gin and tonic guy.
I
don't think it tastes that good. It's just not. I don't like sparkling water. It's just not my thing.
I'm not a gin guy. I know a lot of people. My friend does Bombay Sapphire on the rocks. Oh, that makes.
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about now. That's way too complicated for me.
It's bad. It's just bad. But
I mean, sometimes I won't turn down a Jaeger bomb if there's a chance, but like, you know what I mean? Like,
I get bad memories of car bombs in college. The car bombs, the Irish, you drop the shot in.
I know, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it's basically like a kamikaze, but the Irish just claimed it. But yeah, it's the same idea. But
happy St. Patty's Day too, by the way. I don't know if you got any green on.
Yeah, that's a segue. I do not. I got a Scarface shirt on. If that helps. He wasn't. He wasn't. From Ireland, but
we're all a little Irish today, right? That's what they say.
Oh, we could all use a little luck at the end of the rainbow. But I was gonna say the one drink. So the main PTSD drink for you is a car bomb.
Oh my God, bad nights. Bad.
I think mine is probably one that a lot of people have. Mine would probably be Fireball.
It tastes like medicine. I never got into Fireball for me.
But the point is, everybody has like a bad Fireball story. Or if you want to go like Sailor Jerry's for very cheap, or like Tito's.
Oh, Tito's.
There are a lot of stories that people have in college from like those three drinks combined. Sailor Jerry's, I think, is like, I don't think that's as common anymore. But
we used to hit the 2 T's, tailgating and Tito's. Bad combo, early Saturday morning.
It was early Tito's too.
Yes, early.
I mean, there were a couple of times I was in the student broadcasting for because my frat was right across from the football stadium. So I ended up maybe pre-gaming a couple of broadcasts when I was on the student radio for the Badger game. Maybe. To be fair, the first game that I ever broadcasted, quick side story, they were playing BYU. Coincidentally, BYU might be the second round matchup. And Wisconsin was favored by like 30 at home because they were like the number 4 team in the country. And they
didn't cover.
They lost. No, they lost outright. You think they won the game? You think they won that game? No, they lost on a missed field goal at the end. But I broadcasted that entire game. And that was the first experience I had to Badgers football in the broadcasting booth. I got a noise complaint one time.
Wow.
I was watching a Yankees-Red Sox playoff game in the media booth during the Red Sox game.
Of course you were.
I mean, I had to. It was like Wisconsin against like Nebraska. Shout out to Adrian Martinez. And Jonathan Taylor ran for like 200 yards. The game was over in the first half. Gary Sanchez's 2 home runs against David Price in the playoffs. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to watch this. Yeah, why not? It was the only game the Yankees won in that series. That was the Brock Holt cycle series.
Wow.
A couple games later. But that was the only game the Yankees won that entire playoffs. And the entire student radio station got a noise complaint because I was watching the baseball game during the college football game.
Oh, boo-hoo. So, Jonathan Taylor ran all over them, so
they didn't
miss much.
I think they were just upset the Brewers weren't that good either. So that's kind of how that went. They were just salty, I guess. I still had a team alive. But
great
anyway,
story.
That was kind of a fun segue.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. I probably have some other college stories. Question is, can I remember any of them?
And also, it's a long season. We got time to remember them. Maybe this weekend when you're in Vegas, you'll have time to remember.
I want to hear Mal's story because Mal traveled to see Newcastle win a trophy for the first time since 1969.
Wow. I talked to Mal today, and he sounds so hungover. Beer.
He posted a tweet of him like at the train station at 5 a.m. So if you want a great travel story, wait till Mal's on the pod. Wow. Just remember to ask him for it, though.
Yeah, can't wait.
But either way, point is somehow we dragged this out to 30 minutes. You can find me on Twitter at Reichel Radio. You can find him on Twitter at, of course, it's written on the screen. But if you are listening to audio only, you can find him at ROCKK24. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.